Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this evening's program. Shall we please stand as we welcome the speaker in the chair?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. The President of the Academy, past Presidents of the Academy, Vice Presidents of the Academy, Fellows of the Academy, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, Your Lordship, the Archbishop, ladies and gentlemen, including our school, our students from the schools. On behalf of fellows of the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences, Ghana's premier learned society, I warmly welcome you all to this year's Ephraim Amu lecture. The Ephraim Amu lecture series was instituted in 1998 to commemorate Ephraim Amu as a pioneer of Ghana's culture and tradition. Amu attained national stature as a creative artist and an intellectual. He combined the role of musician with that of an educator, social critic, and cultural activist. He was concerned not only with the theory and practice of music and related arts, but also with larger issues of tradition and innovation, change and progress, the role of patriotism in nation building, and the moral code of civil society. He always had something inspiring or thought-provoking to say in his songs and reflections. Initially jointly organized by the Academy and University of Ghana's School of Performing Arts, the Ephraim Amu Lecture Series is now organized exclusively by the Academy. The first Ephraim Amu Lecture was delivered in 1999 by the late Emeritus Professor J.H. Kwabena Nketia, a fellow of the Academy, on the topic, A Synoptic Portrait of Amu. Since then, the Amu Memorial Lectures have been delivered by eminent scholars, most of whom are fellows of the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences. Last year, the Ephraim Amu Lecture was delivered by Professor Paul Buabaswa, a fellow of the Academy, on the topic, Unlocking Music's Mirage, Inspiration from Amu's Musicology. Tonight's lecture has been long awaited, and I am keen to conclude my business of introducing the chairman for this occasion so that we can get the lecture underway. Ladies and gentlemen, the chairman for tonight's event is Professor Kofi Opoku Nti, a former dean of the University of Ghana Business School, an outstanding scholar and researcher. Professor Nti is a member of several academic societies, including Public Choice Society, Institute for Operations, Research and Management Sciences, and the European Association of Industrial Economists. He is an expert in the field of game theory and specialized in competition and strategy in business and economics. He is the vice president of the arts section and a member of the Council of the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences. He is a member of the Presidential Advisory Council on Science, Technology and Innovation, the director of Universal Hospitals Group, chairman of Claim Limited, and chairman and managing director of Lemon Foods Limited. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome our chair for this occasion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Helanyita. Good evening, everybody. Welcome. It's my pleasure to chair this function today. It's really an honor to chair the function with our distinguished speaker. I was telling him before we came here that upon completion of this lecture, he would have done all the flagship lectures of the Academy, the J.B. Dankwa series, the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Lecture, and finally, the Ephraim Amu Memorial Lecture. So he is very accomplished. And each time he speaks, you get plenty of wisdom, like things that we have to reflect on. And so I'm sure we're going to get a lot of insightful comments and observations from our speaker today. Let me introduce him briefly. Most Reverend Peter Kwesi Sarpong, Fellow of the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences, is the Metropolitan Archbishop Emeritus of Kumasi Catholic Archdiocese. Was born on the 26th of February 1933 at Ofinso, Kumasi in the Ashanti region of Ghana. He attended St. Teresa's Minor Seminary, Misano, from 1950 to 1953, and St. Peter's Major Seminary, Cape Coast, from 1954 to 1959. He studied for his licentiate and doctorate in sacred theology at the University of St. Thomas Aquinas, Rome, Italy, from 1961 to 1963. He acquired a diploma and a Master of Letters degree in social anthropology from the University of Oxford, England, from 1963 to 1965. Archbishop Sarpong was ordained Catholic priest on December 11, 1959, and consecrated Bishop of Kumasi in 1970. He became Archbishop of Kumasi in 2002. He has traveled extensively on all the 6 continents and lectured widely on various topics, notably ecumenism, African theology, African anthropology, African sociology, social anthropology, and justice and peace. Among numerous attainments, he founded dozens of basic schools, 10 secondary schools, 1 college of education, 11 vocational institutions, 1 technical school, 3 hospitals, 1 minor seminary, 1 major seminary, 3 novitiates, 15 rural health clinics, 5 communal farms, promoted rural development and the assistance of overseas partner agents by providing many sanitation facilities and hundreds of boreholes for potable water, encouraged the establishment of cooperative credit union everywhere in the Kumasi Archdiocese. And if I can observe right, he also has a music troupe here, Archbishop Sarpong Music and Cultural Troupe. Let's give him a hand. He has set up an educational fund for poor children and a separate fund for the indigent in general. He is responsible for the establishment of an orphanage run by Mother St. Teresa's Sisters in Kumasi, the Cheshire Home for the rehabilitation of former mental patients, and the Friends of the Disabled for the physically challenged. He is a consummate scholar, anthropologist, theologian, and prelate, with many books and articles to his credit. Among his numerous presentations is an article on Asante culture and the Kingdom of God, which contains an extensive and profound discussion on the status of Asante social and moral values within the framework of Christian theology. It concludes that such Asante moral and social values as justice, fortitude, compassion, generosity, humility, truth, hard work, peace, solidarity, and communalism are the pillars on which the Christian religion and practical life are built. He has established himself as a highly distinguished authority on our traditional institutions and their relevance to contemporary conditions. His appreciation of the essence of our religious values and traditions display a rare versatility. And I must confess, I've seen him actually do the Adua on several stages, and he's wonderful. In public life, he has held many key positions, such as membership of the Council of State, membership, chairmanship, and chancellorship of universities and university councils and corporate boards. Ecclesiastically, he was once the chairman of the Ecumenical Association of African Theologians, the president of the Association of West African Catholic Bishops, a member of the Papal Council for Justice and Peace, and a representative of Africa on the Papal Council for Christian Unity. On 6th of May, 1980, he played host to His Holiness Pope St. John Paul II in Kumasi. On the strength of these sterling qualities and achievement, the Most Reverend Peter K. Sarpong was elected Fellow of the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences on 13 December 2001. Today, Archbishop Sarpong is going to talk to us about the performing arts, morality, and the Ghanaian identity. It's my pleasure to welcome him to the podium. Please give him a hand.
My dear Professor in the chair, President of the Academy, fellows, distinguished guests, brothers and sisters, I would like to thank the Academy sincerely for affording me the honor of giving yet another memorial lecture, this time of the musical legendary Ephraim Amu, who I have delivered on Dr. J.B. Dankwa and Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. On the day I gave the second talk in the three discus memorial lecture for Dr. J.B. Dankwa in 2019, I was exactly 86 years old. Today, as I give the Ephraim Amu Memorial Lecture, I am exactly 89 years, 2 months, and 21 days old. The extraordinary respect for the talents of Ephraim Amu, popularly known as Owura Amu, has forced me to bring my personal choir from Kumasi here. I would like, therefore, to claim the privilege of my longevity and the pleasure to bring a two-man choir from Kumasi to present to you at least a 2-hour show rather than the expected 60 to 90 minutes. Surely, a nonenarian cannot be expected to travel from Kumasi to Accra to deliver a lecture on the altar of brevity. As those who were present at my first lecture in 2019 will remember, I craved the indulgence of the audience to give the bulk of my examples from my Asante background. Further, because Ephraim Amu's songs are known everywhere in Ghana and are sung every day, I would be happy if you would this time allow me to use the songs composed by people for whom Ephraim Amu was a mentor, music creators whose work indicate that they are true students and admirers of Ephraim Amu. This will further underscore the unsurpassable greatness of Ephraim Amu in the area of performing arts, especially music and dance. Chairman, every word of my lecture has been faithfully recorded by my efficient secretary sitting on my left, Father Melchizedek Ade, from my dictation. I'm going to enlist his assistance in helping me to read it. He will take some parts that I will indicate to him. In the first part of my performance presentation, I will try to give an idea of the key points in the talk, namely performing arts, morality, and the Ghanaian national identity. I first deal with drama before moving on to traditional music. On morality, I will try to indicate how drama makes a clear distinction between what is right and what is wrong in our behavior. In other words, I will try to indicate what is meant by morality and what is meant by Ghanaian morality. I will then do my best to give the significance of music in all its aspects of our life. Under the title of dance, I will explain how music, traditional music that is an expressive art which gives different messages. The relevance of the performing arts to development will then follow. After this will come the relevance of the world-renowned maestro, Ephraim Amu, to Ghana. The pioneering role that Ephraim Amu played in the inculturation of the Christian message in Ghana will here be given the prominent mention it deserves. I will conclude the lecture with a sketch of a scene of my little play, The One Honest Man, in which the key areas of the performing arts, drama, music, and dance will be demonstrated by in practical terms. Mr. Chairman, human creative skills and their application form the basis of art in general. Hence, we have different forms of art. Material art, such as a piece of carving. Literary art, such as a poem. The art of statesmanship, namely expertise in governing people. The arts that exhibit skills of performance are what, I suppose, the performing arts are. Namely, drama, music, and dance. In reference to the topic of the lecture, the performing arts, morality, and the Ghanaian national identity, it is presumed that I shall not act like this man who visited his doctor and complained about his obesity. The doctor told him that he needed to go on a diet. He asked the doctor, "Diet, what is that?" The doctor explained, "In the morning, take a cup of coffee or tea and a slice of bread without butter or margarine. In the afternoon, be satisfied with a small bowl of soup, a little potato or yam with lean meat, and plenty of vegetables. And in the evening, repeat what you took in the morning." He thanked the doctor, and as he walked out, he turned around and said, "Doctor, I forgot to ask you a very important question." "What is it?" asked the doctor. "This diet," the man replied. "Do I take it in the morning, during, or after, or before meals?" The point is that there is no demarcation line between morality and national identity. Morality has to do with the distinction between right and wrong. It deals with the socially accepted standards of human behavior. Morality, therefore, impinges on the national identity. Identity means identity deals with the preferential character of a people, their values, their dominant social traits and features. In short, their philosophy of life. The performing arts, therefore, in portraying morality, expose the national ethos. Chairman, with all due respect, may I ask you now to allow me to ask my secretary to continue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. In Africa, art is generally associated with some object or action of utility, such as a stool or a dance. A performing art may be meant to entertain on different occasions: the birth of a child, the installment of a chief, or to replace the boredom of the night. It may also be used to console, to warn, or to teach. Nevertheless, it has other functions equally consequential, significant, and profound. The performing arts are a powerful means of giving messages touching on the soul of human beings and their societies. A good performer, whether as a dramatist or a dancer or a singer, expresses something deeply meaningful to society or the individual. The performing arts have a religious function. They remind us of our duty to praise and thank the Supreme Being, Onyankopon. Give due attention to the tutelary spirits, Abosom, and to honor of the ancestors, Nananom and Samanfo. They have a political function. They are employed to demonstrate fidelity to traditional rulers, assure them of support, and to make them happy, caring, and reliable. The performing arts play a social role. They augment the ego of individuals, afford the sorrowing and the mourning a measure of comfort, lessen tribulation, and strengthen the courage of the cowardly. They emphasize the virtues and characteristic behavior patterns expected from chiefs, husbands, wives, strangers, reprimand the guilty, and recognize social status. The performing arts play a cultural role by bringing out the best in our way of life, to remind us of the qualities in our forebears' life that stood them in good stead. The performing arts play the economic role of providing the sustenance of artists. In short, the performing arts produce happiness, joy, entertainment through their sheer aesthetics and assist people to be truly human and to face success, victory, triumph, the inevitable ups and downs of life with equanimity when properly utilized. But at the same time, theater, dance, and music can be harmfully oriented towards criminality, lies, disinformation, misinformation, violence, and immorality, despite their wholesome functions. The performing arts are sometimes used singly, but often too collectively. There is music and dancing in drama. Music can be dramatic and danceful. Dancing responds to music and is often theatrical. Drama enacts a scene, which is either true or imaginary. It consists of the art of writing or mentally creating a scene for the stage, or broadcasting and executing it orally or physically. The play generates emotion, pleasant and unpleasant. In depicting ordinary ways of life, it exposes human strengths and weaknesses. It gives a lesson, warns against undesirable behavior, and encourages commendable conduct. It sharpens the intellect and increases the imaginative thrust. Great skills are required to depict human behavior and actualize it on the stage through the quality of imitation, impersonation, and mimicking. In Ghana, in our own country, drama is traditionally used as a potent pedagogical tool to impart knowledge. But more importantly, it is used to inculcate qualitative character and morality. A dramatist may depict the scene of a girl who incessantly refuses to marry suitors proposed to her by her parents. One day, she introduces a young man whose braggadocio as very rich she had gullibly guffed to her parents as her lover. She idiotically agrees to accompany the young man to his home, which to her chagrin turns out to be a lake in the thick of the forest. There, this handsome, opulent young lad turns into a hideous, detestable python, which begins to swallow the girl. The girl, terrified, screams, and a humble hunter whom she had previously rejected hears her, rushes to the scene, notices what is happening, takes a sharp knife, slits the body of the python open from the mouth to the tail, rescues the girl, and brings her home. The girl's parents thank the hunter and beg him to marry her. At first, he refuses to marry a girl who had persistently rejected him with contempt. But upon further persuasion, he marries her and they live happily ever after. The moral lessons herein are legion and profound. 1. Parents have every right and duty to supervise the conduct of their children. 2. Children must be obedient to their parents if they do not want to get into trouble. 3. Marriage should be based on love and not on wealth, beauty, position, or fame. 4. One must know well whom one is going to marry. Carelessness in this can spell doom. 5. Wisdom is needed to solve tricky problems. The hunter did not shoot the python, lest he hurts the woman. 6. The hunter was not revengeful. He magnanimously pardoned the girl who had spitefully rejected him as a husband. And lastly, this kind of spirit is essential for harmony, satisfaction, and peace in any nation. And so, we can and should have drama that portrays the importance of hard work, discipline, and truth. Drama that rejects jealousy, arrogance, and wickedness. There is drama that speaks eloquently about the need for unity, for honesty, and for love. One is very much impressed by sketches at speech and prize-giving occasions of especially second cycle educational institutions, which portray the causes and destructiveness of such evils as AIDS, drug addiction, alcoholism, sexual promiscuity, infertility resulting from abortion, and so on. In youth formation, a dramatic presentation of Ntekuma, the almost impeccable child of Kwekwanansi in Asante folklore, would be extremely effective. Ntekuma is always humble, serviceable, and respectful to his parents. But he never succumbs to pressures from Anansi, his wickedly cantankerous father, to imitate his unacceptable behavior.
Music is even more symbolic. There is literally no occasion that the African does not musicalize. Whether he is dragging nets from the sea, or installing a chief, or performing an initiation ceremony, or mourning, or faced with a crisis, or welcoming a visitor, or naming a child, or worshiping, whatever it is, he employs music to express not only the essence, but also the meaning and the nuance of the occasion. For this, we use three broad types of music. Instrumental music, normally called drumming. Vocal music, usually called singing. Or corporeal music, producing the desired sound from hitting parts of the body. Instruments for music can be grouped under four main categories. We have idiophones. Idiophone. This is not an idiophone. Get up. Get up. Idiophones are instruments of naturally resounding resonant materials which vibrate through percussion, such as dauro, spiritual. Then we have, so that is idiophone, the instrument that you hit. And then we have membranophones or timpani. They comprise instruments that have animal skins on them, such as a tumpan, aquadum. Then you have aerophones. These are instruments to which you blow air. Okay. And Tahira pipes. And then you have chordophones. These are stringed instruments. That's right. These musical instruments may be played alone or in combination with others, or are sometimes accompanied by words which are sung or spoken or recited or hummed or whistled. So we have purely instrumental music, such as kete. Purely instrumental. Then you have only instruments. Then we have adwa. This is a band that uses vocal music and instrumental music. Sometimes the body alone is used. The body alone. The significance of music may be found in the very instruments that are used. Mpintin is used to accompany a walking cane. Okay. Sit down. Then, then kete is used for the king when he is sitting down. So when he is walking, there is a type of music for it, the one they played. Then when he is sitting down and you want to honor him and so on, you have kete. Then when he is in the palanquin, we didn't bring the stool, we didn't bring the drums. We use phantom from. Adwa is all weather. We use adwa for any occasion. The kete ensemble. The kete ensemble consists of akwadum, petia, apentima, ebrukwa, deuro, dono, ntrowa, 7 items. But in the case of the Asante, there are 8. Because he uses a tenteben. Okay. Traditionally, there are 9 forms of playing kete. In Ashanti, there are 26 forms, different types of bands. One of them is kete. And we had, in the past, we had 9 types of ways of playing the kete. We had the adaban, then you have the adaban, then you have the okay. Thank you. Adaban depicts punishment. When somebody has done something wrong and is going to be killed, then they will pay the adaban. But it was not only meant for punishment, it was meant for not only to ridicule the criminal, but also to advise people, if you do this, if you commit crime, this is going to be your end. Dabanka. Apente. This is played when the queen, not the queen, Wahima, is in his circle. Above war. Asokore Mampong. Asokore Mampong is a suburb of Kumasi. In Asokore Mampong, there was a tutelary spirit. I don't call them divinities because they are not divinities. I call them abosom. And this bosom was the bosom when there was a big epidemic like COVID. The Ashantis will go to Asokore Mampong. And the king of Ashanti was then the priest. So when you had something like that happened, and they were going to Asokore Mampong, that was what they played. suppose you hear the differences. Then you have the Adinkra, It is like this. Years ago, there was a very big empire in northeast of Ivory Coast called Adinkra. It had developed its culture to an extent that no other society had done. And they invented Adinkra and all that kind of thing. But the Ashantis went to war with him, with the king of Adinkra called German. And because he made a mistake of making a golden stool, resembling the Ashanti golden stool. The Ashantis could not understand this. So they went to war with him and captured him and caught him and cut off his head. So the thing says, with patience and with wisdom, you can capture Adinkra. But not only the thing does not talk about only Adinkra at war, but all the things that Adinkra had. He had all very many wonderful things, cultural things, and so on. And that is what we call Yadibrebre, Bechere Dinkra. Okay. Now, the Ghanaians are most religious. We say it is a pity. Religiosity was the key mark of key characteristic, identity of the Ashantis was identity of religious identity. And now, godliness, which is now disappearing from our society. They believe that God, who is the creator, unique, kind, just, eternal, and so on. This is expressed very beautifully both by the Tumpan drum and the Adowa drum and the Kete drum. Okay, oh, penini wine. The river is crossing a road, and the road is crossing the river. Which of them is the elder? Don't you know that it was a human being who made the path to where the river was, and that the river comes from eternity. The river comes from Odumankuma. So human beings, who are you before God who made you God's way? Comes from God. So nobody should compare himself with the Creator. This fact is demonstrated in the story of the creation of the golden stool of Ashanti, which can be told in dramatic way to impress vivid impressions on people's minds. Komfanochi is said to have brought down the golden stool from heaven. He had his own god called Chinechin, but he did not attribute the creation of the golden stool to Chinechin. He attributed it to God, Onyankopon. Okay. Another drum makes it the same point. Odumankuma boadie, oboadie ben, obosei, obochirema, obokweku akwabra fufuri. God created all all the three most vital functions of society.
I wish we could give a round of applause to Your Grace. Yes. The attribution of everything to God musically is vitally significant. Religion is the source of morality. As a believer, I won't steal, even if I know I will not be caught if I do, because I do not want to offend my spiritual overlord, who I know does not want me to steal. Wouldn't Ghana's woes be considerably reduced if Ghanaians took their priceless value of godliness seriously? Music stresses other aspects of our multifarious values, one of which is the value of honor. It is a taboo, for example, to humiliate somebody or a group of people by revealing their dishonorable origin. What can be described as the background sound of Adowa makes this very clear. Edom bebrei efri henye, efri tete, kanokese na yunchauti. Where does this crowd come from? It is from of old. Do not say it aloud, or else you'll be decapitated. The grateful character of our people is amply exemplified in the fact that the Tumpan drama, before every normal performance, which can be very long, praises the wood from which the drum was carved, whose name, Chinigmura Kuduya, is identical to that of one of the four chiefs who offered themselves in sacrifice to their bosom to enable their son to win the war against the Dentra. He asked as his reward that his name will be drummed on the Tumpan drum forever. In fidelity, the drummer identifies the sacrifice of the wood used for the drum with the sacrifice of the chief and hails both.
Okay.
Hail, spirit of Untumi Akore. Hail, spirit of Cedar Kore, of cedar tree Kodia, of Kodia the cedar tree. The divine drama announces that had he gone elsewhere in sleep, he now has made himself to arise. The fowl crowed in the early dawn. The fowl uprose and crowed. Very early, very early, very early.
What I want to say is Kodia, Chenebua Kodia, one of the four chiefs who offered themselves to be killed in sacrifice to God or to their gods so that they would win the Denchira war. He asked that when he died in sacrifice, his name will be placed forever on the Tumpan drum. And indeed, it is up to now prayed. Kodia Amenfi.
This is repeated after the drama has mentioned and praised the spirits of any objects or human beings.
So the drama will then praise the sticks that are there, that are protruding. He will then praise the sticks, and then the strings that are there, and then after this, he will go on.
The drama then turns to the earth, whose importance is spelled out in the following piece. Earth, sorrow is yours. Hail, earth, woe is yours. Earth, what is dust? Hail, spirit of the sky, who stretches to Kwau. Earth, if I am about to die, it is upon you that I depend. Earth, while I am yet alive, it is in you that I put my trust. Earth, who receives my body.
After hailing the earth, the drama moves to the elephant. The elephant is the elephant's skin that is on the drum. So he praises the elephant. and patachi minutes suno. A sooner will be a kuna. A stroke of the Mankumak chairman. See, one man homeless. Okay, then he moves on to praise the pegs on the drum. They are called Ephraim Dunsini. Ephraim Dunsini. Jana Dua was very. So after all that, he praises the birds of the sky. Asamwa, ye Judean, ye Juanyado. Okay. Then he goes on to praise the evil people. The evil people personified in the Beifo. Oh, which one? And leave and please for them to leave us in peace. This is it, okay. Then you have history of different chieftaincies, chiefdoms, like Asante Mampo. There was a chief there called Siama Tukwesari. Otia Otrade upon Boyame upon Tintin Akataba. No, they go on, they go on, they go on. Now, the songs can be used in many ways. We have songs that talk about death, lamentation. We are in the hands of death. Death has bundled us and that's doing whatever he likes with us. Some of these songs also talk about mysteries. We don't know what all these things come from. There are certain things in life that we cannot understand.
Nimio, boy nimio, we feel control jivant ma protein nimio, nana amum nimio, utina yebo.
Then we have words of romance.
Wasi wo muame, nana mo me frene. Wasi wo muame, me rimejina tente banso nano juada se wasi obeto bramponsio eni kroje. Me frene wasi wo muame, nana mo me frene. Wasi wo muame, me rimejina tente banso nano juada se wasi obeto bramponsio eni kroje.
And then there are songs that condole the dead person. Somebody is dead and we are so sad. The Lord has had pity on him, like on her, like Inabna.
Enabina mumani demri fa no kwejayo. Enabina boaye, boaye. Enabina boaye, kwejaye.
The the Catholic Church has adopted this melody and uses it on Good Friday. But they don't say Emna, but they say Eurade. Eurade Jesus, of course.
Umane demri fa no adia bene. Eradi Yesu mumane demri fa no uaja yo. Eradi bo aye. Eradi bo aye wo waji.
Okay. Now there are certain songs which have the same words, but whose cadences change their meaning. Asante kotoko waya.
Asante kotoko say yay.
Yay, yay. Asante kotoko. Yay. Asante kotoko. Yay. The same words, Asante kotoko. This particular case, it is dealing with something, not a matter of death or a matter of life. Kotoko is playing a house of hopes. So we play as Asante kotoko. We want to win, but we know that we can lose.
Asante kotoko waya.
Oya ye, yenim ko, yenim danyo. Yes. You are kakotoko dieno. Kotoko dieno and ye. So that is the same words, but they express a situation which is serious, but it's not a matter of death and life. Kotoko can beat us in Accra or Kumasi. Hearts can beat Kotoko in Accra or Kumasi. They can draw and so on. So that is the one you are singing. Okay, I don't know what to hear. But there is a situation when the Ashanti think they must win. They use the same words, but they must win. Go so.
Asante kotoko waya.
Oya ye, yabafwe, yebewe wo. Me Papa Chopi, what my mistake? Me Papa Chopi. Hello. Dia yebe kwa, yenim se yebe din kunim. Yenim ku, yenim gani o.
Asante kotoko waya.
Oya ye, yenim ko, yenim danyo. We must win. But there is a situation where we cannot win. But it is still an intolerable situation. We cannot tolerate it, but we cannot win. Look at how they sing that one. Asante kotoko waya.
Asante kotoko waya.
Oya ye, yabafwe, yebewe wo negyo. We want to die. Yebewo ewu. Okay. Yeah. As you have kwabafwe yebewo ewu. It happened during the time of Kwame Nkrumah when Bafwa Kutu founded the NLM to fight Nkrumah. Of course, they knew they couldn't win over Nkrumah. So that was their Asante Kotoko. Bafui. Good. Okay. What do so? Now you go to dance.
Often accompanying music is dance. Dance is a participation in the cosmic rhythm governing the whole universe. It is found in all phenomena. There is an order in everything that happens. There is an order in the seasons, so that you have autumn, winter, spring, and summer. There is a rhythm in the waves of the sea. There is rhythm in human life, birth, adulthood, death. There is rhythm in farming, weeding, sowing, reaping, and eating. There is a clear rhythm in human existence. Non-occupation produces lack of food. Lack of food results in hunger. Hunger results in disease. Disease results in inability to work. Inability to work results in non-occupation. And the rhythmic circle is complete and is repeated. Whereas on the other side, hard work produces good results. Good results produce the means to eat. The means to eat produces strength, and strength produces the ability to work, and so on and so forth. To dance is to move about rhythmically alone, or with a partner, or in a set, usually in fixed steps or sequences for pleasure and entertainment. In Ghana, some consist in 2 steps around which thousands of movements are woven. 1, 2, 1, 2. Vigorous or graceful movements of the body and the expert manipulation of the legs, the eyes, the hands, even the torso, have a story to tell, and the more dexterous the dancer is, the more powerfully he or she gets home the message. The message can be the message of defiance. Or of dependability.
You can depend upon him. That's why he stands in one place and turns around. Go on.
It could be a message of respect. It could portray a message of unity. It could be a message of mourning. Or a message of joy. It could give us a message of victory. Or a message of defeat. A message of thanks. A message of bereavement. a message that shows you are begging someone. Or even a message of assurance.
Brothers and sisters, Mr. Chairman, an analysis of the various types of musical ensembles from the different parts of Ghana teaches a very important lesson. We have Bawa, the Bawa. From Upper West. Takai, don't stop.
Palogo. Kete.
Chairman, the relevance of the performing arts to development. The performing arts, whether we look at them from the point of view of drama, or music, or dancing, help us to express ourselves as human beings. They are relevant to the national development. When they stress godliness, they are promoting honesty, patriotism, hard work, and unity, which have always been part of the Ghanaian identity. When they remind us of what makes us what we are, Ghanaians, and not any other branch of Homo sapiens, they are humanizing us. In a world of crude individualism, arrogance, greed, avarice, and selfishness, we need a performing arts constantly to remind us that the Ghanaian is by nature gentle, hospitable, friendly, forgiving, compassionate, self-respecting, and welcoming. At a time when we seem to have lost any sense of the sacredness of nature and treat human beings in a distorted manner, we need the performing arts to stress to us that the Ghanaian sees things in a holistic way. At a time when we seem to have no respect for symbolism, we need the performing arts to drill into our skulls the powerful message that life is not banal, but full of meaning, albeit sometimes cryptic. At a time when the nobility and indeed the very relevance of our cherished institution of Christianity, of chieftaincy, are being seriously called into question, sexual promiscuity is not frowned upon, human beings can disappear and be callously sacrificed on the altar of political expediency, a time when even our judicial system appears to have been turned into a citadel of injustice, a time when we appear to look down upon the biblical injunction that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. We need the performing arts to communicate to us the true and abiding principles of life of the Christian, of the Ghanaian, that has enabled him all this while and has to be what he is. At this juncture, Chairman, I crave your indulgence to allow me to act like this man in Accra. A man from Europe met him at the Holy Spirit Cathedral and approached him, and he said, "Please, sir, which is bigger, Accra or Kumasi?" The man unhesitatingly answered, "Oh, Cape Coast is the smallest." I think it will be unjust and anomalous not to turn to Ephraim Amu, who encapsulates in himself the qualities of the dramatist, the musician, and the dancer, for the perfect blend of the performing arts. Ura Amu was a legend whose nationalism and patriotism were never in doubt, even though he scrupulously stayed out of partisan politics. Ura Amu spent all his working life in Ghana and assiduously learned to speak and actually master other languages of Ghana, in which he was able to operate so fluently and expertly that he produced some of his deepest philosophical and most inspiring works of poetry and prose in Akan Twi. Ura Amu would not condemn any idea or refuse to utilize any object merely because it was African. Thus, when, as a promising teacher and an aspiring preacher at the training college at Okropong, he was told by the authorities of the college that it was not appropriate for him to preach from the pulpit in Ghanaian attire. He chose to leave his post there rather than accept an edict which he considered to be both derogatory to his national heritage and wholly unjustifiable. There was no reason in logic or doctrine why a true believer could not deliver the Christian message in a non-Western attire. Born on Wednesday, 13th of September, 1899, Dr. Ephraim Amu was an extraordinary human being. At the age of 12, he went into a mutual agreement with his music teacher to teach him the rudiments of his music in return for working for him in his farm every Saturday. In 1916, he and 2 other colleagues had to walk 150 miles from Peki to Abetifi with their boxes on their heads to start teacher training education. At the college, Amu realized that some of his students, including the classmates, owned steel bicycles, so that he set himself the task of building his own bicycle from wood. At the Abetifi Teachers Seminary, he used his ingenuity and creativity to carve wooden balls for the school games to replace the imported balls. In 1920, Ura Amu, not on taking his appointment as a teacher at the Peki Blengo EP Middle Boarding School, taught songs and was keen on making his pupils able to read music well. He went to Koforidua to buy a 5-octave Raleigh folding organ for the school. He had to carry the organ on his head and walk the distance of all night and arrived at Peki the following morning. At the Presbyterian Mission School at Akropong, Amu was a tutor in charge of gardening. He requested teach students to carry night soil to mature the college farm. The students found this unpleasant. To prove that example was better than precept, he would carry the excreta to the college farm himself, ahead of the unwilling students. Dr. Ephraim Amu employed no one to sweep his room, wash his place, or run errands for him. No manual work was too menial or hard for him. He believed in using African artifacts and good African technological and social inventions. As a composer, Ephraim Amu gave to Ghana some of the most loved tunes and lyrics in our native languages, including some which have played a major and abiding role in the life and ethos of the nation. The message that Owura Amu sent out to the fellow citizens in his great piece of didactic poetry, Asemi Dikan, was that
Asemi besini kwebo miaro, Asemi besini kwebo
His message was this: that the welfare of the nation and the greatness of the nation depend on the exertions of individual citizens, that no citizen, regardless of his official or social status, can legitimately pass that responsibility to others, or assure that his or her conduct and that of the life of others are of no significance to the destiny of the nation. This theme was to be further amplified in the great national hymn of exhortation, which is rightly considered by many to be the authentic national anthem of Ghana. Yenara Yasasini.
Yenara Yasasini. Eyabo Tinte Mayen. Mojana Nanum Shegu Nyalitu Omayen. Edumene Wososo. Seyebe Yebiatwaso. Mimbetwaso Kotokani Nyabese Minkuminya. Embremo Damayan Sasingodo Atumse. Omano Semeye yo. Omano Serinye yo. Eyese na hose. Omafo Branetre. Omano Semeye yo. Omano Serinye yo. Eyese na hose. Omafo Branetre.
But Mr. Amu's poetic and musical prowess was not devoted solely to the composition of patriotic and didactic pieces. As a person, Ephraim Amu was both a great Ghanaian and an unsurpassable Christian. He was a cultured patriot who was an expert in all three forms of performing arts. He composed nearly 2,000 works for schools, churches, and community groups. Some of these are simply of immortal worth. Some of us have been hailed as Africanizers of Christianity, but the likes of Professor K.A. Dixon, Methodist, Sintim Misa, Presbyterian, John Poby, Anglican, join me in acknowledging Amu as the vanguard of incarceration. Incarceration is the attempt to plant the life and the message of Christ in a particular culture, using the elements proper to that culture. Jesus had told his disciples to go to the whole world and preach the good news. This was incarceration, but this concept began as pedagogy, teaching the word. Pedagogy gave way to imposition. We were told what to do and believe. Imposition gave way to translation. We rendered European hymns, prayers, and translated them into our vernaculars. Adaptation, which replaced translation, is regarding what you have as inferior to what you are adapting to. At all these stages, nothing came from the African. That is why indigenization was introduced, but it had to give way to contextualization. Since indigenization suggests that nothing changes, contextualization appeared to make us forget that the present is the present because of the past. And so it came to enculturation. During this time, the Ghanaians' music, religion, traditional institutions, customary practices, and other elements of culture were misinterpreted and often proscribed. Artwork and sculpture, architecture were considered primitive. Musical instruments, talking drums, atenteben, horns, and flutes were denounced as pagan and heathen, as were the traditional dances. Our songs were criticized as superstitious, vulgar, and unbecoming of Christian leaders. From elsewhere, a German writer of the time is quoted as saying of Africa that it had no contribution to make to the world. In short, our culture and its multifarious and its manifestations, language, dance, music, religion, tradition, institution, were not only misunderstood, but they were wholly, wrongly censored. Ephraim Amu would have nothing of this. There were obviously exceptions to this extreme view. Rattray, the famous anthropologist who did a lot of work in Ashanti, is recorded to have taken the Basel missions to task for not trying to integrate Christianity and some of the traditional African religious rituals. Ephraim Amu strongly believed that his culture was a God-given culture. He was of firm conviction that the way Ghana was going, it was not possible for Ghana to progress with this political leadership. He believed in the fact that Ghana needed holy politicians, both men and women, and saintly heads of state who profoundly loved their own people and wished to serve rather than be served. Without such leadership, there was no way Ghana could get rid of bribery and corruption, embezzlement of state property, political arrogance, appropriation of undeserved power, and sheer wickedness, intimidation, greed, selfishness, ethnocentrism, in short, godlessness. He and others, would you believe it, who believed strongly in this philosophy, thought that your humble servant could lead Ghana the right way to success. Because as a man of God, I would know that these were vices, that these vices were condemned by God. And out of love for my culture, which I denounce, for my culture, which denounces these atrocious social aberrations, I would avoid them completely. He led a delegation of more than 12 from Accra to come to Kumasi to plead with me to lead a Christian party they were contemplating founding. And he was certain that the Ghanaians would vote for me to change their destiny. Of course, your humble servant was speechlessly stunned, even to contemplate the suggestion that I could save Ghana. I explained to the delegation that politics was an art, and that the fact that I appeared to be an effective priest did not mean in any way that I would be able to handle the affairs of the nation as a statesman. In any case, the Catholic Church forbade the Catholic bishops to enter into politics. It was with total disappointment that the delegation returned to Accra without securing my affirmative response to their genuine request. One of the reasons they chose me, out of thousands of men and women of Ghana, was that I thoroughly knew and deeply respected my culture, and that I was aware that my culture would not allow me to disgrace it. It was such cultural stance that had got Ephraim Amu into trouble with his church. I have chosen to end this lecture with a sketch of Act 2, Scene 2 of a play I wrote some time ago called The One Honest Man, that I mentioned at the beginning, at the end of which the choir will perform 4 songs by composers who took their inspiration from Ephraim Amu.
The mighty one, our king, is gone. What a burial it was. But how can the ancestors be contented with all the gossip going round? The kingmakers are making a ridiculously easy task extremely difficult for themselves. Oh gods, where are we heading for? Ancestors of our land, you will be more than justified in annihilation as all our laws are flouted. The king you have fashioned for us as a potter fashions clay into a pot is being deliberately bypassed in favor of one who can only anger you. You were honest, but integrity has fled from the land you nurtured with your blood. It is human nature, they excuse themselves. Fame, honor, wealth, who would not grab these? They ask. The effrontery, dishonesty is practiced everywhere in the world, they claim. Yet, this is no reason to disobey your time-honored injunctions. They forget that honesty is preached everywhere also. You were not wrong to have built the nation on the firm foundation of integrity. What is human nature anyway? If human nature falls into decadence, dare we destroy it further? You too were endowed with human nature. You were no beasts. The doom that is hanging over the nation is too frightening to contemplate. Everyone knows about the callous injustice being planned by the kingmakers. The whole of here is discussing it. Women, children, passing by, nay, even the very infant sucking the mother's breast, are in consternation. Yeah? If the leaves and stones, if these walls and roofs could speak, they could condemn these perpetrators of iniquity. They can only look on absolutely dumbfounded. Some men have mouths but no courage. Some have the courage, but alas, no mouths. The days will be hard for the hypocritical kingmakers their dishonest protege, and everybody. There must be one just and courageous man who can rescue us from this abyss of darkness. We cannot be so utterly rotten. Let others say what they may. I, for one, cannot imagine Nana Kofi Bekwing, the warrior, selling his conscience. Didn't his grandfather, whose distinguished name he bears, single-handedly defend our law against the onslaught of the great devilish witch? Kofi Bekwing can ill afford to antagonize him. What a test to undergo. Will he fall? Will he be victorious? I am no prophet. Let the actors themselves tell us. In Act 1, Scene 1, Kwame Nyantakyi, Kwesi Kusi, and Kofi Bekwing, the kingmakers, have agreed that the best candidate to replace the deceased king is Kwaku Kru, but Kwame Nyantakyi and Kwesi Kusi thought otherwise. They rather preferred to receive a bribe of 1,000 cedis from Yao Anto Otuani to give the suit to him, even though they agree that he is a good-for-nothing man. Act 1, Scene 2. Yao Anto tells his wife and his household that he was going to be a king to their delight, adding that Kwame Nyantakyi and Kwesi Kusi have assured him that they would make him king. In Act 2, Scene 1, Yao Anto has now become king. He calls Kofi Bekwing to question him about how he did not support him. Kofi tells the king that it was an abominable thing for him, a kingmaker, to break the ancestral rules about succession. After a lengthy talk and argumentation, Yao Anto appears to have been convinced by Kofi Bekwing that he should abdicate. In Act 2, Scene 2, to be acted by the actors themselves. Let's sit down and watch.
Yo, you better say. And you went after one in me. No, you just call in the hall. Yo, yo. We'll call her. We'll call her.
Kofi Bekwing akama samu. Asampa na Kofi Bekwing aka kyerɛ me. Sɛ mpanifo ka sɛ suro de ɔbɛn wɔ. Na sɛnea mesi ne nkɔfo mienu yi atie yi. Na sɛ ombetumi adi me wusei. Na ade a ya me dia. Na sɛ medi bie ya. Mo abɛgye me bribe. Ansa na wodi me asi so. Mpanifo ka sɛ suro de ɔbɛn wa mpa na bo bɛka wa na wo firi wontoma mu. Mɛfa me ho adwene. Me nu mu bedi ne nyonyonyonyonyo e wo kora yi mu. Me nu mu bedi ne yie pa.
Ago.
Ha woni mram.
Therefore, you atenase o. Akonya de fata o. Nana, esew. We nipa. Wonyi nipa ketwa. Bekwing nana. Akonya fata o. Nana, enene na nsa. Na auto ye nkrase embra. Nti ye ba ya me ni menua. Ano anti ne yenam.
Samohunu. Mohunu nipa bone a mo yenti. Semi musa mama ne na mo amobo mama ne. Mohunu. Enkraben na matomo. Monka me mentie enkraben.
Nana na dai. Nana no ma beso da ya na. Na wo kasa sei. Unya bi da.
Oh, nana no ma beso ma da ya mpa. Nana no ni ma bedin kuta ho na nya sade mususu no. Enya sa na mususu no.
Nana akwan be so.
Kama no tum. Aha. Enkra no a mode ba no. Enya dabna da ya wada ebe di animu yi. Akonya kase a eye woso no.
Nana pepe.
Sa pepe.
Ene se bo akonya.
Nana no anti ne.
No ma men kasa. Nya akonya nti na monam.
Nana no anti a.
Yo.
For cry twen ye yabobo mama ni omo tai.
Omo bobo echi do.
say.
Oh, akonya so.
Ombetwen. na mo betwen ache se mo bedi akonwa no amaya hwe mo betwen ache
nana ene de ede na eti bayira ho
kawano tum
o kasa sei
kawano tum enya adamudi a mo beje mi e enya mo na mo ne Kofi Bekwen ekosi nkonwa se kokukuru ana konwa no adedie ne fata no na me de memfa memmen ho kora
nana wada o ma yentimi nya sada ye sa anka nananum samanfo ntwa chima yentimi ei odefo akonya de fata nti wa na wudie
no kura na kwa me ko yentimi nada
nananum no me mramo so munim me fra nananum samanfo mo ma ababom ne mabusua nyina ahwese nipa bonefo ne mo mi busa mo munyim asem ya no akonwa no a matena so no na menya de hie na me ndibi
nana fata pepe kronkron
na se me dibi a esi dan ana ade a eya media mo beton ma me
nana ye de yeton ade a ye de ama wo yentimi nya sa yentimi nya sa
dibi na ye ya esi dan ana mo ba beje me bribe ansa na mo di me si so
nana we de ye no ne kasa ye ansa na o ma ye kakra ansa na ye de si so nti we de nye ye ne
ti asem wo ka kire me wo mu ade kra adanti na me kasa sa
na we de facha no kwacha asem na me kan facha no
mu kire wo manim mu mie no mu ye lipa bonefo mu ya mambofo menimu bu man enye yie sa no me ka kire me ekwan ben so na me de bribe ne mamo enyem na mo sha me aha mi busa mo munyime ano akonwa no a mo padie no edien botaye pa na se edien pa na mo wa anti mo se mo hia sa akonwa na se mo fata se ye de mamudie mo kan kire me
nana si ebo ama afro abanwa yi nti no wa hye ebo se ye nso obehye ye nimonyam se
na menim na menim kura nso menim kura na nka yesen se menim adamudi a mo je me ya enya sa na se obi ebeka wo a na chese efiri wa nkasa wontumem abo beka wa nkasa wontumem na nefiri sade me se de me wira ehye mumu na menim se munye ni papa ma ante sa na me ohene mpo kase sei ana mode sa de yadimi na sa konwan me de maamu a enka ahiafo ne moboro wa sabe a wo mo kura yi mu ene wo mo ma no ene wo mo ni kamafo no ka hene adia de na mode beye wo mo sanka mbaton wo mo ne wo mo ma nyina adi
nana yentimi nya sa
na nanu mabufu hia mra mo so sika moji ye no ekwan bia so ene ye a mo betua me sika mo ho mpre na
nana ye betua ni nyina nana ye betua ni
me jiri se ya
ye betua ni nyina ye betua ni se ya
mo ye ni pa bonefo mo ye mambofo ye ni mu bu ma ye nye ye saa we ni mu nyina na ye frɛ ho se kuro mpanimfo ye di kuro anim na mu ni mu se akonwa kase no amo paadie no eye wo mo a wo mu sipie wo mo hote na nkekan ya bia ni wo mo ho ena sese wo mu di akonwa no
nana sa pepe
na esidan ena metimi agi modi ebra mo pa akonwa adie ena mo abaje me kata asechede mo abaje me bribe ena mo de ebepa akonwa adie mo mfata mo nse se me di akonwa ma mo esan se adwempa ni mutirim mintimi no mu man ena dai mebo dawuro mesi dawuro so ama hia ya kuro ma nyina betwahia ni ya damodi ni ya kamunsam huna mudie ene akofisam ene nyambrasam amaye e de akere mo e de akere o ma nyina na me
nana ka
kuya kranke ye
owo na mo kan ho asam na nanan mo so mo bekum a mo betimi ya gina no tie sa ne o se ne mekasa mo ya hantan mo ya dwe mitimi mu man enu ti na da ya muntu eska no mutu ya wi a metwa masu afiri kuro yi mu na makotena ma nanu baabi na mawuwu ene masefo nyina na matore esan se saa nipa sei ye ne omumu man ye ne omu ntena kuro mu esan se wo ne nipa sei tena kuro mu a kuro no nkoso ebebo apen mo so ne firi manim
se wana ye
akoshifo
na o meje ye
ya hwe ye ho ne ye ntoma bia de be pa ahini ye mo so ne firi manim
ye nim na guase.
The play continues. The king meets Kofi Bekwen, who persuades him to distill himself. Meanwhile, the king has exiled Kwame Nyantechi and Kwasi Kusi. The conversation between the king and Kofi centers on the king disregarding the injunctions of the ancestors and agreeing to distool himself. Meanwhile, Kwaku Kru becomes the king in the way laid down by the ancestors. Among the Ashanti, when a stool becomes vacant, it is the Ohima who chooses a candidate from the ruling clan of the deceased king and presents him to the kingmakers. I refuse to use the term Queen Mother. It is a misnomer. The concept of Ohima does not exist in the English vocabulary. The ruler is called Ohine, and parallel to him is the female ruler called Ohineba. The two terms have nothing to do with king or queen. The Ohima chooses the Ohine if she outlives him, and the Ohine chooses the Ohima if he outlives her. The choice of the Ohima is hardly rejected by the kingmakers. For a kingmaker to reject the Ohima's candidate, he must have a reason or reasons that would qualify the king to be distooled if he were already the king. Statements like, I don't like him, he is not clever, he is not strong, don't hold water. It is only when the kingmaker can prove that the candidate does not belong to the ruling clan of the locality that the candidate becomes ineligible. In the case of Hiaya, this simple rule was spurned. Unfortunately, there are thousands of chieftaincy disputes in Ghana with special reference to Ashanti.
This sketch of Act 2, Scene 2 of my play be an eye-opener to Ghanaians. An example, while many traditional areas have chieftaincy disputes lasting 2, 3, 5, sometimes 20 years, the Ashanti's case has made it very clear how this should not be the case. When Nana Osei died in 1896, the Asantehima chose Nana Prempeh the first. When he died in 1931, the then Asantehima chose Otumfuo Se Oseajima Prempeh the second. He died in 1970, and the Asantehima chose Otumfuo Opokuwari the second. He went to his successors, to his ancestors in 1999, and the Asantehima chose Otumfuo Osetutu the second. The Asantehima example is there for everybody to see. Let all traditional areas in Ashanti and the whole of Ghana copy it. I hope that the sketch has demonstrated, one, that the performing arts, morality, and the Ghanaian identity are different colors of the same prism. That Christianity that chieftaincy is a sacred institution bequeathed to us by our ancestors, and that it should not be toyed with. That the Ghanaian's ethos is identical with injustice, is identical with justice and courage. Look at the courage of Kofi Bekwin. that the one value that the Ghanaian holds on to is the value of truthfulness, hard work, respect for the precepts of the ancestors, as demonstrated when a baby is being named. When a baby is being named, they tell the baby, that religion plays an irreplaceable role in the social life of Ghanaians. Notice how the sins of Kwame Nyanchachi and Kwaku Kusi were regarded as offenses against the ancestors and an abomination to the whole society. That it was heroic on the part of Yawanto, the king who was wrongly installed, but whom Kofi persuaded to abdicate. Look at the part he played to accept his fault and abdicate. That Kwekukru, when he became the king, magnanimously forgave Yawanto, forgave Kwame Nyantachi, and Kwesi Kusi. It will be noticed that the forgiveness and the mercy are so treasured by Ghanaians that in the regal areas of many chiefs, there is a special functionary called Jatuahini. Chairman, I have not, I hope my longevity has not done too much to test your patience.
You have the floor.
Yeah. So, Mr. Chairman or Professor Chairman, there are many, many more lessons that the short sketch teaches us, which are underscored in Owura Amu's works. Therefore, if Owura Amu did nothing other than producing these beautiful and enriching compositions, he would still deserve a place in the pantheon of greatness in Ghana, indeed in Africa. As we know, he did more, much more. Thank you very much.
Son of Brasutier, son of Brasutier, son of Brasutier, son of Brasutier, son of Brasutier. And then I want to son of Brasutier. Olie, Fao, Menyamio, Onyamidie, Osisado. Olie, Fao, Menyamio, Onyamidie, Osisado. Adie Bechi, Onyamidie, Osisado. Ivia bebo, Onyamidie, Osisado. Adie Besa, Onyamidie, Osisado. Enyunu bejo, Onyamidie, Osisado. Son of Brasutier, son of Brasutier, son of Brasutier, son of Brasutier. And then I want to son of Brasutier. Olie, Fao, Menyamio, Onyamidie, Osisado, Onyamidie, Osisado, Onyamidie, Osisado, Onyamidie, Osisado.
As I said in the beginning, in order to honor Mr. Amu, we have chosen songs composed by people who got their inspiration from him. The first song is that composed by Brother Pius. He just loved Dr. Ephraim Amu. The second one is a Christian song, beginning of the beginning of the Gospel according to John. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. Composed by a student of Amu.
very delightful evening. I love the music, and the presentation has been spectacular. Let us take it. Should I put it in? Yeah. The talk today confirms what I told you earlier, that you're going to get plenty of wisdom and lots of insight about many things in society. I want to start by thanking the Archbishop for giving us such a tapestry and of the rich and diverse nature of our society, and the kind of lessons we can get from the performing arts. But before I go into drawing out some of the pieces from his beautiful presentation, let me kind of throw to the young people here the big question that he posed, which is, what is the Ghanaian identity? And he told us a lot of characteristics that should govern or governs the unstated but pretty evident Ghanaian identity. He says, we are a gentle people, hospitable, we respect ourselves, forgiving, have justice and courage, truthfulness, hardworking, and respect for elders and traditions. And I think we need to think about those issues all the time, because every people needs something that says, this is us, so that you can present something unique to the rest of the world, right? So I like that feature, and I want the young people here to uphold that idea of the Ghanaian identity. Sometimes people will say, this is non-Ghanaian. And I always ask myself, what do they really mean? But nobody articulates that. Then he kind of gives us a sense that Ephraim Amu might be one of the characters that articulates the Ghanaian identity. And I think he did a great job telling us a lot about Ephraim Amu and his contributions in all aspects, his humility, his forcefulness, and the strength of his creativity. And he also tells us a lot about what he thinks Ghanaian politics or politicians should be like, what he calls the holy politicians. And even though he did not agree to lead the Christian party, he has put in concrete forms some of the ideas that he would have had from the play that we just saw, the One Honest Man, and the challenges that we have in the way that institutions are being corrupted all the time. So it is really lots of food for thought. But I'll not do justice to his talk if I don't elaborate on the complexity and nuances of the various forms of the performing arts that was articulated. For example, he says, dance, there's a lot of movements, and presumably we learn how to move all parts of our body to rhythms and so on. But he says they all contain messages, and he had the choir here demonstrate the different elements of the messages: unity, respect, defiance, bereavement, and so on, joy. And I could see that there are some things that they did that I now remember seeing many, many times ago, but I didn't realize that's what they were doing. So I thank you for that. And then you go to drum language, how sophisticated it is. He kind of used the idea that let's follow the chief. and see how the drummers communicate or describe what is going on. Special music for his entrance, special music when he sits down, special music for all kinds of things. And so that is also the drum language, the praise, the mystery of death and so on, the struggles of people. I think that is pretty excellent. Then he talks about how Africans musicalize, that the life is fairly integrated with music. And it comes in the drumming, the singing, and it kind of tells you also about the social organizations, because they're using the music to socially organize people. You do this, you don't do that. These are lessons that you talked about in the story of the young lady who went out and was eventually saved by the rejected suitor. So there are all these lessons that are embedded in the stories, music, and the movements of our people. So it's very profound, and I think there's a lot that we can continue to discuss and to think about, theorize about it, and distill it, and perhaps create this concept that he wants, the idea of what is Ghana, what is the Ghana identity. So I want to thank the Archbishop for giving us this stimulating talk and for bringing his choir here, to his cultural group here, to really tell us a lot, demonstrate a lot, and convert his story that he's telling us into performing arts. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Indeed, this has been a delightful evening. Before we end proceedings, there are a few announcements and acknowledgements. The 2022 Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences Public Forum will take place this June on the theme African Continental Free Trade Area, Challenges and Prospects. The 3-day event will be held on June 6th, 7th, and 8th in the Academy's auditorium at 5:30 p.m. each day. Please join us for this program. Now to the sponsors of this event. We have Dr. Kwame Donko Fojo, a fellow of the Academy. Justice Sir Dennis Dominic Ajay, a fellow of the Academy. Professor and Dr. Mrs. George P. Hagan of Accra. And Dr. and Professor Mrs. Saki, Accra. I'd like to acknowledge the Archbishop's musical, cultural, liturgical troupe. Did I get that right? For the melodious music that we have enjoyed throughout this evening. They are of the St. Peter's Cathedral Basilica, Kumasi Archdiocese. A big hand for them, please. I'd also like to acknowledge the schools here with us. Presec, Legon, Accra Academy, Accra Technical Training College, and the Accra College of Education. We thank you all for your presence here this evening. There will be light refreshment outside, right in front of this block, opposite the auditorium as you leave this place. Please get something to eat and drink before you leave. Fellows and dignitaries will have their refreshment in the Fellows Lounge, which is right across from here. Once again, I'd like to thank you all very much for all the support that you have given us, your presence, your very presence here, and for making this event such a wonderful experience. Thank you very much. And if you could please stand while the Archbishop and the Chair. Oh, okay. I've just been, one moment please. So I've just been informed that Ephraim Amu's daughter is here. Ms. Mesonu Amu would like to acknowledge your presence. Thank you very much.
There was somebody who, especially for Ephraim Amu's, one of the famous songs called
Okay. So the Archbishop's choir, please sing the the song by special request, the song titled Asumdwemu, composed by Ephraim Amu. Thank you.
Mekoma kwadana mada prekum kum. Mada prekum kum. Mekoma kwadana mada prekum kum. Mada prekum kum. Mekoma kwadana mada prekum kum. Mada prekum kum. Mekoma kwadana mada prekum kum. Oriane nyato esumedu edumesi merekoma koda asonji mona mekoma koda na mada prekum kum meda prekum kum mekoma koda na mada prekum kum midadin sunu shirani mamela mena Sire sumno muhami Mahunya sumno sire muhamela senya muhami Sire sumno muhami Nahunya minkuto Wona utumi mamiti na hojojo Asonji muna Mekoma koda na mada prekum kum Meda prekum kum Mekoma koda na mada prekum kum.
Thank you very much. I'm sure the choir will be singing another song, but if you could please rise while the Archbishop and the chairperson leave the room. Thank you.
Ofrera de wanaba Ofrera de wanaba jidi fomu miama na kwaba na nenyame a obo ora mu na ne ba no no osebo aye o nyame ba no no echi amansan ni no na waba ye mu akwa bebru yesre nshirama o nyame be mu monu se aye o se na nenyame a obo ora mu na ne ba no no Eradi Yeswe Onyami be mu monu se aye ose na nenyami obora mu na ne ba no Eradi Yeswe na ne yemu akwabo aye Eradi Yesu ya mwakwabo aye Wanya bedroom mene nyamiasio aye Wanya bedroom mene nyamiasio aye Eradi Yesu ya mwakwabo aye ya mwakwabo aye Eradi Yesu ya mwakwabo aye Wanya bedroom mene nyamiasio aye Wanya bedroom mene nyamiasio aye Eradi Yesu ya mwakwabo aye nane ya mwakwabo aye Eradi Yesu ya mwakwabo aye Wanya bedroom mene nyamiasio aye Wanya bedroom mene nyamiasio aye Eradi Yesu ya mwakwabo aye nane ya mwakwabo aye Eradi Yesu ya mwakwabo aye Wanya bedroom mene nyamiasio aye Wanya bedroom mene nyamiasio aye Eradi Yesu ya mwakwabo Yesu akwabo. Erade awa akwabo. Missy akwabo, I name we ne akwabo.